The Trudeau government moves to ban single-use plastics. While it's great for the environment, it's bad news for the already struggling restaurant industry. 680 News senior business editor Mike Eppel joins us now with the details. Good morning, Mike.
Yeah, good morning, Pam. Nice to see you.
It's very nice to see you too. So let's talk about this. We've talked about banning plastics for years now, and so the Trudeau government is making a big move here.
And we were sort of on the cusp of that before the pandemic. Remember, many grocery stores had already shifted to paper bags, for example, or reusable totes. Various organizations moved away from plastic cutlery back to traditional metal knives and forks. And then it was, wait a second, maybe because we're in a pandemic, we want to have single-use items. So we've seen this delay, for lack of a better description. But when we're talking about, the restaurant industry, which is, running at less than half capacity inside, and they've been relying on takeout, and how is there a wood alternative, I suppose, or do people just use their own cutlery on takeout and straws, reusable straws? It's going to be another challenge for all intents and purposes for small restaurant owners, even the large-scale operators. You go to a fast food chain, you get a salad in a plastic container. You get, a plastic knife and fork, potentially. There's a lot of implications for this. They've got a year to adjust, but it's going to take, again, more investment likely. And some operators, they're going to face even a greater challenge. Then you've got the lack of any ban, interestingly, on water bottles. Now, there are changes coming to the legislation there about the recycled content in a water bottle, but that was an interesting thing that was sort of left off the list by the Trudeau government.
Which should be the first thing to go, really, right?
You wonder about, the size and scope of that industry and the nuance behind that. So you wonder if that'll be perhaps next. Again, that's actually easier to recycle. You have to keep that in mind. It's easier to, a lot of the other things, the other items aren't recyclable in all jurisdictions. So again, it's each segment of plastics that you have to consider on an individual basis.
It is frustrating, though, when you do get takeout and you ask to not include plastic knives and forks. Very often you're taking them home and you don't need them. And they still put them in there. It's like
I've noticed them asking a little bit more because it's a cost, right? Why give something out if the customer doesn't actually need it?
So another topic that has long been discussed, daylight saving time, and whether or not we should stick with it. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, this private members bill that came up for debate in Queen's Park yesterday about this idea of not eliminating daylight savings time, but sticking to it year-round. So basically, the time that we're in right now wouldn't be adjusted on, in this case, the 1st of November coming up, where we fall back by an hour. And this, of course, led off, it's been something that's been talked about for quite some time. But, Twitter lit up yesterday with, well, we should leave it at daylight savings time or shift it because people don't like how late the sun stays up during the summertime. I thought that was an interesting argument against. But at the same time, if you shift back to standard time, then you'd have the sun coming up, I think, around 4:30 in the morning in the summer, and then that would go down at about 8:30 at night. So, yeah, the idea of keeping it where it is seems like a good idea. But, of course, with everything else, they're waiting for, it's all contingent on whether New York State follows that lead because of the financial markets. You have to have those at the same time.
Very true.
And the federal government, so many federal government offices are in Gatineau, Quebec, across the river from Ottawa, so you got to have Quebec on board. So this isn't happening anytime soon.
Always an interesting debate.
And then at the end of this month, Halloween this year is the day we shift back, we fall back. So that Sunday morning's going to be weird.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mike.
Thank you.